Hello and welcome to License to Chill, the Margaritaville podcast.
That's right. We're here. I'm Patrick McDonald.
And I'm Ryan Middledorf.
A little bit about us. We are two lifelong buddies who share a passion of not wanting to work, ever.
Yes, or you could say tropical lifestyle enthusiasts.
Absolutely. We like to hang out. We like to have a good time. We like to vibe out.
Yes.
So Margaritaville is letting us do just that with this podcast. Shockingly. We're going to talk to some of our favorite musicians and artists and athletes and people in general every week. It's a little pocket-sized getaway just for you. We're going to hang out and relax, talk about how they get away, how they unwind, how they chill out, because everyone vacations a different way.
Absolutely. And today's guest is, you can't say enough great words about this guy. He's an incredibly talented musician, singer, and songwriter. He's been a bass player and vocalist for the Eagles since 1977, Patrick.
Unbelievable. Notably, he was the lead singer on Can't Tell You Why.
Yes.
Which is many people's favorite Eagles song. Mm-hmm. He is also, he's played on albums and toured with the likes of Linda Ronstadt, Steely Dan, Ringo Starr, of course, Jimmy Buffett. He coined the term Parrothead.
Big deal.
We get into that. You're going to want to hear about that. He also has toured with just about every other legendary musician of the last 40 years. His seventh solo album, Day by Day, was released in 2022, and you can buy the special edition vinyl now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Timothy B. Schmit.
Well, nice. Timothy, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to be chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.
So you've toured and been a part of so many great bands, toured with so many great artists over the years. I'm just curious sort of your approach to collaboration. I guess, transitioning that into your work as a solo artist, what has that process been like?
Well, first of all, I haven't been a solo artist that long. If you take my whole career, I didn't start really. I started doing solo records when I was right after the Eagles broke up the first time. But I've mostly been in bands, and I didn't tour until I was 60 as a solo guy. Mm-hmm. But as far as I wouldn't call it a collaboration, being with other bands or touring with Buffett or Warren Zevon or Toto. What you do is you go in there and you start learning what you're supposed to do. It's really that simple. What's my part in this band? Usually it's playing the bass and singing. And in Toto's case, it was just as a singer, which was really different for me. So it just depends on what's required. It's not. There's nothing magical about it. It's part of my work.
So then, recording as a solo artist, was there something freeing about that? Was that a new kind of mindset to get into? Recording
as a solo artist when I started was almost terrifying because I honestly didn't really know what I was doing. I'd been behind a microphone and recorded a lot, but it was always with bands. But when it came to selecting and writing my own material, I really almost didn't have a clue. If I listened to my earliest solo albums, I can still remember my mindset back then. I wasn't really ready to do that. I wasn't a particularly good writer. A couple things came out of me that were good, but it was a lot of collaborations. It wasn't until I started my I think 3 albums ago when I started my own self-penned albums. So the one I have out now, which is called Day by Day, is a 3rd self-penned album. It's almost like my own little trilogy. It's where I took my sweet time. I'm talking about years because I'm so busy with Eagles usually. I would record during the time off of touring with the Eagles and write and record during those times. And I really like it a lot better because I don't have to collaborate and don't have to do any compromising. I don't have to do anything I don't really like that much, but I'm working with somebody else and it's all give and take, that kind of thing. I don't have to say, what do you think of this? I can just do it whatever I want. Yeah. So it's really freeing that way. And it's not my livelihood. The records I sell or the recordings I sell as opposed to Eagles is minuscule. And so it's not real. It's really more of a creative outlet that being in the Eagles allows me to do.
That's great. Do you feel like there was a moment where it changed from like pressure to freedom, where I imagine when you become a solo musician, you have all these eyes on you, like what's up next, boss? Like what's the situation here? Like what did you feel like you were like, oh wow, I'm making a lot of decisions and they're going to weigh on what I do, or you were like, this is a blast, I get to kind of run with this?
Well, it's becoming more freeing as I just like I just talked about it, doing whatever I want and writing my own songs. And being my own editor and deciding what is good and what isn't. I guess my first solo album was in 1984. And Don Henley was like putting out unbelievably great albums, you know, and Glenn was doing a lot of solo work, and Joe had always been doing that. And they'd been doing it a long time. And I've always been sort of a late bloomer, I guess, and as a songwriter, certainly so. And being confident behind something I'm doing is really came later. I just kind of I was like getting loaded and recording. And that's not really a great way to go about things.
Okay. It doesn't pan out in the long run.
Not usually, no.
Yeah. That's so cool. I mean, I feel like I also see, you know, I've seen you talk, and I know that you're working kind of constantly. Music is always coming to you. And do you feel like it's you have to take breaks from it? Do you feel like I know as kind of an artist, it's really hard to turn that brain off. It comes when it comes sometimes. Or do you feel like you've been able to control it and structure it into, all right, I'm working now, I'm not working now?
Well, I first of all, it is work, but it's kind of non-work work to me. I don't think there's ever a moment where there's not some kind of music, even if it's something stuck in my head. I wish it wasn't, you know, that I don't hear music on some level. I mean, I wake up a few times a night with music in my head. It's not necessarily good. It's not necessarily something I'll remember. If it's something I think is good, I have to get up and record it into my phone, or I won't remember it. But I don't really have to take breaks from it. I love what I do, and I sort of write about what I'm thinking about in my own life mostly. So I just use it, you know, whatever direction I'm going in.
So then, in terms of music and your approach to crafting a song, if you know, music being a part of your life and so prominent, how do you choose what is a song or what is a nugget of an idea that turns into a song that ends up on an album?
That's a really good question. So a lot of times it's always really great to have a title first.
I love that.
That's a bonus. That's almost rule number one. But I almost never have a title. But I usually just start fooling around with melodies and chords, and maybe even sing nonsense syllables, or say something that means nothing to me, and then it just kind of, if I just keep developing it, if it wants to be developed, the title appears.
And it kind of just presents itself to you.
It seems to be how it goes. I have no idea how to write songs. I like to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure what my method is. I do know that I have to work at it. I have to go in and roll up my sleeves, because not every day is productive. Mm-hmm. Some days it's like, God, I'm glad I'm through with that day. But I believe you have to go through those periods in order to get to the good stuff as well. You have to get those out of the way. So you're not always creating, but you're working.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was just going to say, your new album, Day by Day, you released it last year. The vinyl's coming out right now. It is so great. When I was listening to it, a lot of the music on the album, I said, I really want to hear this live. And it made me wonder, are you writing music in your mind? Are you writing it to perform it live? Are you writing it to be heard as a record? Like, where are you seeing this music go? And, you know, how does that translate into what you're doing?
Well, I hope to perform some of this stuff live. It would be mostly stuff from my last 3 albums, because I didn't really go out as a performer until I was 60. Like I just couldn't do it. I wasn't ready.
Wow.
And I didn't feel like I had the right material. A lot of those collaborative songs I didn't really feel that they were good enough. So when I finally got the first show out of the way, I realized I could actually do this, and that these songs that I'm writing actually can be done on stage. And I hope to do it again, but and everybody should have such problems. But right now the band is still working, and I'm not sure that we've got 2 legs coming up, and I'm not sure if we're not going to work after that or not, at least for a long time. I need a good space where the band actually takes a break, a good long break, so I can plan venues where I'm going to play and rehearse a lot.
Yeah.
So that hasn't presented itself. So, and by the way, I'm not unhappy that the band's still playing. It's all icing now. It's really great, and it amazes me. I'm grateful for how many people still come out to see us all the time. It's
That's amazing.
it's mind blowing. I'm 75, and I'm even seeing, a lot of younger people in the audience, which is really great. It's like it's a bonus, I mean, when I dreamt about doing this stuff as a teenager with my first band, I never dreamed, I thought I'd be way dead by now. Because that's how you think. You think when you're 12 years old, you're over the hill at 40.
Right.
So I mean, and Eagles music is so meaningful to us. We're in our 30s, but it feels incredibly relevant. It feels like that. It also the landscape of music itself is almost reflecting the Eagles and what you guys are doing.
Well, Don, especially Don, was very perceptive about and is about the state of the union, I guess, the universe, maybe, Yeah. So that's been a bonus to be around people like him. I learned a lot. I learn a lot all the time from whoever I'm playing with.
I have a question that I don't want to miss. On your song, Something You Should Know, the percussion on that song is so interesting to me, and I love it. And I just want to know how you came up with that, and I want to know what it is. It sounds like a kind of a hand game or like a...
So that's a song. Thanks for bringing it back to my album.
Yeah.
And that's a song hardly anybody talks about. And that's a song that also came really easy. I was just goofing around. I think I was trying to think of a lyric to another song, and I sang, "There are so many things I'd like to say, but I can't remember what they are." Whatever it is. Yeah. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And I did all the percussion. I did everything on that record. And I did it all. The percussion is me slapping my knees.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
And just put that through a loop,
Just
and then
throw a microphone on. No,
Really?
I played it all the way through.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And then there's a tambourine you might have recognized in part of it.
Yeah. I was just entranced.
And the bass, there's no bass on it. It's my voice. It's kind of obscure.
Wow.
I'm going boom.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun to do.
Yeah, that was awesome. I always feel like bass players like kind of enter music through a different entrance than other people. I feel like you're seeing something I'm not seeing in music, and it blows me away.
Well, I think that people who aren't musicians, who like, a lot of people say, "I don't know anything about music," and I say, "Do you know what you like?" And they always say yes, and I said, "You know enough,"
Right.
But I think a lot of people, if they might not pick out the bass, but if the bass was missing, they would go like,
Yeah,
something's
what's
off.
going on here?
Yeah.
I don't know if I approach it differently. When I first started playing music with my friends in real early high school, and we were acoustic folk singers, and then we decided to borrow some electric instruments and amplifiers and stuff because we found a drummer. The guy who had the drums, you're in the band.
We found him.
Truly. And those three guys are still my best friends.
That's amazing.
I'm literally blood brothers with one of them. We had a little ceremony when they were 9 years old. It's kind of dangerous to do now, probably.
Yeah.
But when we first started playing, we were just doing like surf instrumentals and stuff, and everybody wanted to play the lead guitar. But after we kept playing for a while, it became really and we would trade off lead, rhythm, and bass. After a short while, it became really obvious who should be playing what. And that's how I started playing the bass. And I love playing the bass because it really is, it's the part that hits you right in your lower belly, in your guts. And it's part of the rhythm section. It's a really important part. And I'm not an improviser, but the kind of music I usually do doesn't dictate, that I play every note I know. Mm-hmm. It should be simple and basic and right there with the drums. And I still enjoy it.
Jumping back to sort of your approach to songwriting, how do you approach sort of the artist burnout of, crafting an album, being on tour? Is there anything that you do to sort of get centered again, go back into that mindset?
Well, I think other parts of my life just take over where I have to take a little break, whether it's work or not. Mm-hmm. But no, by the way, the Eagles probably wouldn't have broken up in 1980 had we taken some time off. Mm. It was just one big grind. Yeah. And they had a history of that before I joined. We just kept going. And I think, you got to get away from, how you going to miss me if I never go away, that kind of thing, But I don't have any words of wisdom about that. I write songs when I'm sort of good and ready, and that could be at any time, mm-hmm. Or I keep a pencil and paper by my bed just in case something comes to me at night, because it sometimes does. And I'm a really light sleeper, and I wake up all the time. So in order to get back to sleep, if I'm in the middle of one of the lyric puzzles of a song, it's just a big puzzle mm-hmm. that the parts are out there in the ethers. You just got to find them. And sometimes that's through work, or sometimes you got to lay back and it might come to you. But I might wake up at night and think about the song I'm working on to help me go back to sleep.
I love that.
Instead of going everywhere. You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Totally.
Kind of centering, yeah.
Totally. I had a question about, we talked about how you have jumped in with so many different bands. And just me going to a party where I don't know anybody there and I walk in, I have to give myself a mantra just to be in a room with people I don't know. You go in and you play incredible music with people that you maybe don't know, or you walk in and you knock everything out of the park. Do you have a way to stable yourself and give yourself confidence in order to walk into those rooms?
Yeah, you rehearse.
Yeah.
You practice. In 1993, I'm going to say, I got asked to join. I got a call from Ringo Starr. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're fucking with me. Who is this? He has his all-star band, quote unquote, right? So it was Todd Rundgren in the band I was in, Dave Edmunds, Burton Cummings, Ringo's son, Zach Starkey, and Nils Lofgren, a lot of people who had a lot of music. Everybody submitted 3 or 4 songs, and everybody got those songs. So I spent my weeks up before the first rehearsal learning every song. Yeah. Every song, and most of them we didn't do.
Did he just call an audible at the last minute?
It was. These are possible songs.
Uh-huh.
Now, what are your favorites? What you want to do? And so we honed it down. Everybody kind of picked the ones they wanted to do. Wow. And so the way I get ready is to be prepared. Mm-hmm. It's like when the Eagles are going to go out in about 2 weeks. We're starting another little show cycle, and I actually have to prepare for that, because we do with a little intermission. We do 3 hours now. I didn't do 3 hours in my 20s. Mm. We do these long shows, and they're big productions. We're doing Hotel California top to bottom in the first half, and then we do the rest of the songs afterwards. I have to prepare to be ready, and a lot of it is actually physically repair. Yes, I actually need physical repair after doing those shows, and it's a lot. I mean, we're older, and we have to be in shape. Mm-hmm. So I prepare almost like an athlete. I'm the bass player, and I never I never stop playing.
Yeah.
And it's very physical. I've been carrying a 10-pound thing over my shoulder since I was a teenager, and it wears on you. And the tendons, I have terminal tendonitis in this arm from playing, and I have to kind of work up to doing 3 hours. If I just do it cold, I would be really a mess, and I would need repair. So in about 3 or 4 days, I'm going to actually start playing a lot more at home and in my studio, and kind of put my own project on the side for a little while.
That's amazing. I was going to ask about just the aspect of touring. You've been, touring so much throughout your career. How has that aspect changed over the years?
Yeah, well, it's a lot cushier.
You've earned it, though, right?
When I first, my first band in Sacramento, when we actually had to go out of town and play somewhere overnight, it was like, two guys checking into a motel and then opening the trunk when the manager wasn't looking, and everybody pile into the room, two to a bed and the rest on the floor. It's come a long way since that, Do
you still enjoy touring?
I actually do. I've always loved traveling. I still enjoy it.
Do you take some time when you're at different destinations to get out and explore?
It depends on how long we're there. But
yeah.
Definitely, yes. I always get out of the hotel. And during COVID, which is still around, we were still being really careful and being tested. Like last year, we were tested every other day, and we were asked not to, fraternize with anybody. But I would go out. I had to get out of the room, even as nice as the room is. I have to get out of the room, and I just walk. I love it when I find a neighborhood, and so I can go see how people live and where they live, in this whatever town I'm in. That's hard to do it when you're in the center of a city. But
is there a recent city that you've gone to that you're like, oh, this place is pretty cool? I've never given this a shot before.
Well, there's some good parts of most cities. I could think about this for a long time. What comes to mind, it wasn't recent. I've been to Kansas City many times, but I hadn't had time to be able to walk far enough from the hotel to see some of these neighborhoods. And I went like, wow, this is really nice, and I like that. I like to do it, especially in Europe too. To like just see how the people live, because I have a charmed life. I really do, and I'm aware of it. I know what's going on, and I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for it. But I like to see where the people who come to our concerts are where they live. Maybe I like to see porches and tricycles in the yard.
Hey everybody, we just want to take a quick break to talk to you a little bit about the Margaritaville Perks program. This thing is amazing, and it's not like your typical hotel loyalty program with tiers and restrictions and all that confusion. It's a really fun, simple, and easy way to get rewarded for booking direct and staying at your favorite Margaritaville.
That's right. There are so many personalized options for you to have an enjoyable experience at a Margaritaville using these Margaritaville perks. You can select these options during your booking process or at the front desk, but some of them include complimentary cocktails, a fruit and cheese plate, a movie pack, early check-in, late checkout, room upgrades, resort credits, retail discounts, all sorts of things. This really takes your stay at a Margaritaville to the next level. So go to margaritavillepperks.com and sign up today.
Back to the episode. I mean, it is fascinating going back to what you said. There is something cyclical about music. I mean, us being in sort of the Margaritaville world, going to Buffett concerts, seeing, kids going to these shows, being raised on this music. I mean, it sounds like it's something similar with you and the Eagles and your solo stuff as well. Is that right?
Yes, but I could say, you are the kids going.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, yes. I have all my children are older than you. Okay. So
right.
If you know about the Eagles and you're a Buffett fan, you're part of that younger crowd I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, and it's great. I'm sure he really appreciates it.
Yeah.
There's something that I love. I mean, you guys have been playing songs that we love consistently for so many years, I always, in my mind, I've never spoken to anyone else about this, but I equate it to almost like transcendental meditation when you guys are performing. I mean, we were playing the same song that you played for so many people, that so many people love, and they want to hear it a specific way. Like, where does your brain go when you're playing?
That's interesting. You compared it to TM, because I'm a TM guy.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, and I have been for quite a long time now, and twice a day.
Wow.
Pretty much without fail.
It's amazing.
People ask all the time, how do you keep playing these songs for decades? What keeps it fresh? That kind of thing. But when you said TM, it's almost like a mantra.
Yeah.
But even more so, it's the people's feedback that keeps it fresh. I mean, I was just saying this in a previous interview I did today, that it's people are I see people's faces and their whole beings being transported somewhere, God knows where. They're dancing, they're crying. I see people crying every night, but like tears of like joy.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something that triggers them of something that was sad in their life. Who knows? But I see these great reactions every night. Every audience is different in some indescribable way, but there's a sameness about how they're there because they want to be there. They want to hear this, and they want to leave what's going on right now and be transported into this other world, I guess. And I get to help facilitate that.
Yeah, I mean, now in the world that we're living in, going through what we went through over the past couple of years, do you feel almost like a responsibility when you go on stage now to provide that to fans, that sort of, escapism, that's,
Yeah, I don't think of it in those terms. I have a great job. I really look forward to it. And now, because I'm older, I go up there every night and just like thank the universe. Like, this is really cool. I'm still doing this, and there's this packed house, and I get to be part of this. It's really very fulfilling. And it's unbelievable that it's lasted this long, and it's not lost on me.
Can we jump over to Buffett real quick and just chat about?
Do we have to?
Jimmy
Buffett. Is that all there is around here?
You are a pretty pivotal part of Margaritaville lore, Jimmy Buffett lore. You coined the term Parrothead. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Can you talk about that a little bit and what that show was like and what you remember from that?
Bring us back to the moment. Where were you when you said that
We're
word?
going to add a nice little twinkle sound effect right now.
No, I'm not going to talk about that.
All right.
No. So I don't remember where we were, but he plays every summer. He's a summer act more than not. And I had known Jimmy for quite a while before I was ever part of it. I met him probably at his first record company's label. I think was it ABC maybe. I met him, I think, probably up in those offices, and probably didn't see him for a long time. But then we a lot of my friends knew him, and we would see each other every once in a while. One day we're at a party, and he says, "What are you doing this summer?" And I said, I'm not. This was when the Eagles had broken up for so long in the 80s. He says, "You want to go out?" I said, "Why?" He says, "You want to go play bass with me for the summer?" And I said, "Sure." After we talk business.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not signing blind on the dotted line.
Sure.
Right.
Anyway, so I did it, and I thought it was really only going to be a tour, but not a whole lot was happening then. I had a new set of children and new family, and I'd only been in the Eagles for a couple of years before it broke up, and they had already had 6 albums under their belt. So I needed to work, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And so I went out, and he kept booking new stuff, and I just kept doing it. It was kind of a steady thing, and it was fun. It was Buffett, Anyway, one day I usually rode with him in a limo or some kind of car, and to the gigs, and we were going to one of those outdoor sheds, and we had to go slowly up to the venue to the shed because it was the same space where people were walking all around us. And they spotted the car, some of them. It was hard not to spot. And Buffett would, I think he probably started waving, and I used to joke with him about doing the papal wave, going up through the sunroof. And I said, those guys, they're like deadheads. No, they're not deadheads. They're parrot heads. They're your parrot heads. And that's really, it's that simple. It came out of my mouth, and he ran with it, and I never did my paperwork.
Got to trademark it.
But I'm happy to have been a part of it.
Yeah, we're happy you are too.
Well, this is the Margaritaville podcast, so I'm hoping we can ask you some questions about, just escapism in general, if that's okay.
It is.
If you're familiar with it. If you ever given it a shot.
Want some Molly?
Oh, that's how he does it.
Okay.
It's easy. Everything's good.
I mean, how do you sort of approach that mindset, be it on the road or even if you're not touring? Is there anything you do to kind of get away, whether it's at home or somewhere else?
So those are two different lifestyles, at home and touring. On tour, because they're long shows, and I feel kind of beat up the next day, and I know the other guys do, it's usually a day off. We don't do very many 2 days in a row anymore. It's all a matter of like recouping. So whatever that is, if it's watching a good movie or taking a stroll outside or whatever. And like I say, I am a meditator, and that helps me too. And I have to like take care of my body. I do a lot of stretching. I sort of do my own bastardized version of yoga. I have a great story about yoga. My wife used to teach yoga at our house years ago, before we had kids, and Buffett was over one night, all night, the night before, and we finally like were able to lay down, and I gave him this bedroom, and it was probably 9 or 10 in the morning. There's all these women. I believe it was a pregnant women's yoga class. And out comes Buffett, with no shoes and completely disheveled with that shit-eating grin he has. And he walks through and kind of nods his head. And I just remember one lady, she's in a pose, and she goes, "Was that Jimmy Buffett?" And he just, walked through, and I guess he got in his car and left. I don't remember after that.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to leave. I don't know what you do after that. You got to go home.
Yeah.
Yes, that was Jimmy Buffett.
It certainly was.
Any more questions?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Anyway, at home, I have my own routines. I go through in the morning. It involves stretching and drinking this tea I drink, and looking at the horrible news before I have to put that out of my head. And I've been with my wife for many years. Like, it's coming this summer, it'll be 45 years. And we're still as tight as can be. So she usually is the one that says, "Come on, stop for a minute and let's go have some lunch," or whatever.
You need that.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of vacations, we have some questions we want to ask. We ask everybody these questions. We're getting a consensus, but basically, I want to know when you need to get away, where you're going. So if you want to take a break, you got a month vacation. Where are you going for a month?
We usually go to Kauai.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
In Hawaii? Yeah.
Very Margaritaville, isn't it?
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Spins up.
Yeah, I go there and drink an umbrella drink. And
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, we're fortunate enough to have a place there. My wife used to go there before we met, and then then when we were together, we used to go stay with Graham Nash and his wife at the time. And when we had small children, we started renting this one place, and they said it would never be up for sale. At the time when I asked, I couldn't have bought it anyway. But a few years later, it came up for sale, and we still own that place. So that's a place we go. And we have some of our best friends are there, and these friends, they still say, "Did you see the sunset last night?" they're still, it's way into. A lot of people go there to visit and they don't come back when they're younger, and they've been there for years.
It's a magical place.
Yeah, it's a great place. That's one place.
Yeah. Well, I got another question. If you have a week to get away, where are you going?
Well, it depends on where I am in the first place.
Yeah.
Like we were in Europe. The Eagles were in Europe, and I think I can't remember. We were there in England or Scotland, maybe Ireland, and right between those, everywhere I just talked about is the Isle of Man, right in the middle of the water. It's about 14 miles long, and it's only about, I don't know, maybe a couple miles wide. And my wife Jean, we had some time. We had about 10 days off between these European legs, and everybody went off somewhere, and we went to the Isle of Man, and I drove on the wrong side of the street for the first time. Literally. And we had a lot of fun there. We did like 3 bed and breakfasts, and it is an island. Another theme here. I'm sticking with it.
It's
we
germane.
appreciate it. We
It's
appreciate
germane.
it.
Yeah, it
It's
counts.
It's very cold there, though.
Okay. Yes.
But it was great. That's a for instance.
Yeah.
It's usually somewhere my wife picks out because I would probably just go in the studio. I'm always glad to go. I feel like I don't want to socialize. I won't be the motivator till I go out to dinner maybe with another couple or something. Mm-hmm. But and I might even resist it, but once I'm there, I'm really happy to be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, just need that little push.
Yeah.
And if you had a day to get away, where would you go?
I might not leave my house because I can. There's a trailhead right in front of it.
Oh, beautiful.
We are surrounded by preserved land where we are.
Oh.
It's not far. It seems like we're really isolated, and there are a few houses here and there, but we have 2 acres, but it looks like we have much more, And there's trails in all kinds of directions you can go, and it's all preserved land. So I might stay home. A day's not. You don't want to spend like 5 hours going somewhere and then spend an hour and come 5 hours back in a car.
Right.
So that kind of thing.
And if you had an hour, so say you had an hour, it's right before showtime. Where do you go, or what do you do?
I go inward.
Inward.
I literally go inward. I meditate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what role does meditation play in your life?
Well, it kind of keeps me from feeling in general like that nothing is that urgent. Mm. It's truly calming. And it's really simple to do. It's really, people say, what is it? I can't do that. Well, it's really being quiet, making a point of being quiet. I do it for 20 minutes at least every day, twice a day. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's meditation time. And you become quiet. You can't stop all your thoughts. It's kind of impossible, but you can sort of recognize that you're thinking those thoughts and say, and kind of, in my case, there's a mantra involved. And you just go back to it, and it's like taking a deep nap. It's really great.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, the album is fantastic. We're huge fans and really appreciate you sitting down with us today.
That's been fun. Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hoping to see you this year with the Eagles. You're coming through LA, I'm guessing. You got to be.
There's nothing in LA. There's San Diego, and there's some Northern California, but nothing scheduled right now. Who knows?
Okay.
We'll drive to San Diego.
We'll figure it out.
All right.
We'll make the trip.
Thank you, Timothy.
It's not that
Appreciate
far.
it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
That was incredible. incredible.
Thank you so much, Timothy B. Schmit, for talking to us. We had an absolute blast. I wanted to mention, right after we did this interview, we asked to take a photo with him, of course, and he mentioned that what we should do is do the monkeys see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil sign. There were 3 of us. And you don't say no to Timothy B. Schmit.
No, absolutely not. So if you are out on social media and you see that photo flying around, just know that we did not suggest that.
It was his idea. I am not asking a legend like Timothy B. Schmit to do that, but if he's asking me, I'm doing that in a heartbeat.
It's one of the funniest moments of my entire life when an eagle says, "Hey, you want to do a funny one?"
Absolutely unbelievable. So thank you again, Timothy. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of our podcast. We're always trying to live the Margaritaville lifestyle here. And Ryan, I want to do something every week. I want to talk about what we do for ourselves that is Margaritaville. So what Margaritaville thing did you do for yourself this week?
Yeah, okay, I like this. So this week, it was my fiance's birthday, Olivia, and for her birthday, I got her flying lessons.
Oh, that's very Margaritaville.
Very Margaritaville. So my little mini escape this week is I got to sit in the back of a 4-seater propeller plane and watch my fiance fly. It was so cool.
Not only is it Margaritaville because you were flying on a tiny plane, but it was Margaritaville because you weren't doing any of the work.
Nope, I was sitting back. I took pictures.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. How about you?
A little kind of a minor Margaritaville moment for me. It was about 9:30 at night the other day here in Los Angeles, and I said, you know what? I want a slice of key lime pie right now. So I went and found it. Found it in the street.
Of course you did.
This poor woman was sweeping up, closing up, and I said, no, I need a slice of your key lime pie.
And she went and baked it.
She went in. Yeah, she baked it. She didn't even cut it up. She baked it. Squeezed the limes herself. Very Margaritaville. But, you have an indulgence and you indulge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we would like to know how you get the Margaritaville lifestyle into your lives every single day. Shoot us an email. You can email patrick.mcdonald@SiriusXM.com, or me, Ryan.Middledorf@SiriusXM.com, and let us know. Send us pictures. Maybe we'll talk about it on a future episode.
And wouldn't you know, Ryan, it's checkout time. So I'm Patrick McDonald.
And I'm Ryan Middledorf. We will see you next week.
License to Chill is the official Margaritaville podcast, produced by Tamara Baldanza-Decker, Courtney Watkins, and Kirsten Winquest. Art by Tom Boyd. Music by Aaron McAnally and Mick Utley. Additional resources provided by Coleman Sisson. New episodes are released every Monday. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.